Disruption of the logistical line, bribery of Adeptus Administratum officials, document forgery, and organization of heretical insurrection. On top of the evidently devastating economic impact this has had on your protectorate, these criminal acts have impeded the delivery of the imperial tithe, which in turn has drawn the Administratum's attention. An esteemed member of the Adeptus Arbites is expected to arrive on Dargona shortly, and before they do, we are obligated to identify and punish those responsible. Clementia, your account? Your ladyship, High Swissarian denies all charges laid against it. Clementia glances at the governor with defiance. These last few months have indeed been trying for Dargonis, but we have done our best to remedy the situation. My family's every effort was focused on stabilizing the capital's logistics and economy, so much so that we failed to notice the web of intrigue unfolding behind our backs. What happened to Dargonis in my absence? When we caught wind of the rumors of your disappearance, we patiently awaited news of your return. But then Dargonis was struck by a series of terrible events. The first was the sabotage of the logistics that hampered the shipments. Then mass unrest spread across the entire planet, and the minor noble houses began squabbling among themselves, trying to pin the blame on their rivals. We took great pains to calm them down and managed to quash the revolt, though not without some outside help. The events have also been overshadowed by the, I am ashamed to even say it out loud in front of you, your ladyship, rumors circulating among the higher houses. Rumors? What rumors? I'd love to hear these rumors. He stammers and takes a breath. Some were calling for Theodore's true heir to be installed as head of your house, Conrad Voitvir. Not all of your subjects have forgotten his past efforts for the benefit of the trade protectorate. Drivestem stops talking, watching you with tense expression. When the investigation was launched, the evidence led us to the Wissarians. You know, y'all, some days, when you read stuff like this, you thank the Emperor that you have a murder-happy Drakari at your back, because what you really and truly want to do is to let him go to town on some of these nobles, especially the ones that want Conrad Voitvir back in charge. And if that is an option at the end of this, I'm gonna take it. Why are there dead bodies at the entrance of my palace? Your ladyship, I humbly beg your pardon, he bows once again, trying to placate you. You see, right before your arrival, the palace guard discovered a plot to assassinate you. Fortunately, they were disposed of before they could harm you. Drivestem, you aren't accusing one of Dargonis' leading noble houses of treason without an airtight bit of evidence, are you? Oh, of course I have evidence. I said airtight evidence, not evidence. The investigation has established that the members of the Wissarian family, which are responsible for both Dargonis' fleet and its logistics, use their contacts and influence to forge a host of documents in order to undermine the planet's supply routes and economy, thus fomenting unrest among the inhabitants. Allow me to introduce my son, Cornelius. The governor points to the lanky young man standing beside him. He bows curtly, but avoids meeting your eyes. Oh, no. No. My dude, if your child cannot look me in the eye and you are introducing him to me, no. Already suspicious. Cornelius holds a prestigious position at the Administratum's palace, and it is thanks to him that we managed to identify and... Oh, you mean so it's thanks to him that these documents exist? Who admitted to acting on the orders of a member of House Wissarian. It was they who were intent on spreading the idea of restoring the title of Rogue Trader to the true... No. Are you trying to tell me that the Wissarians wanted Conrad Voitvir, who's partially responsible for Theodora's death in Abelard's Minor before we left, was responsible for... No. Please let me pass this. Yes! Noticing the close attention of the rogue trader, the young man averts his gaze. His long face is sweating, and he presses his dry lips together tightly into a thin line. He seems afraid of something. Do you support the governor's accusations? The aristocrats in attendance exchange glances, the noble lords averting their gazes, and the noble ladies hiding behind their fans. No one is willing to be the first to answer. Over his many years of service, Governor Drivestem earned Theodora's trust, and he holds his high office for a reason. On behalf of House Sauerbach, I support his accusation. Your ladyship, Governor Drivestem has always faithfully served the rogue trader House von Valentius and concerned himself with the future of your trade dynasty. And so, House Gaprick thinks his charges against Wissarian to be sound. The Augmetic hides Toriana's emotions, but her voice sounds slightly timorous. I humbly ask you allow me to speak in defense of my family's honor. The evidence provided by the governor is utterly false. I cannot refute it, but I can say with confidence that no one from my family has ever tried to forge documents in the Adeptus Administratum, let alone undermine the economy of your capital. Sabotaging logistics, riots, conspiracy. The case appears to be flimsy. I wish to learn more. As you wish, your ladyship. Speak to me when you are ready to announce the verdict. Thank you for your willingness to help, Lord Captain. I am certain that all these charges are false. I'd be grateful for your help in exposing them as such. I think you should speak with everyone present. So I know I could have just basically freed them at that point, but I want to put to bed who this is. Like, I don't want this hanging over Tessa's head at any point later on, if that makes sense.
It's about time.
Like, let's get this done. Reporting current data. Okay. Wait, is that Nomos? No, it kind of looks like Nomos. All right, let's talk to the Gapricks. Lords and ladies, sumptuously dressed in the colors of Heist Gapric, are standing in a half circle around Toriana and her son Vincent. The bodies and faces of almost every member of the dynasty are covered in large, ornate augmetics. Toriana Gapric curtsies to you. Her mechanical voice sounds distant and indifferent. Greetings, your ladyship. May the Omnissiah grant you understanding. With a click, her visor ocular swiveled to the Seneschal. Abelard, it must be difficult for you to be here under these circumstances, with your house standing accused of such a grave crime. My family, Lady Toriana, is yet to be found guilty of anything. That verdict is for the rogue trader to reach. Do you think the accusations are correct? I would not take such a responsibility upon myself and rule on their guilt. But do you think they're guilty? I do think Governor Drivestime's accusations are worthy of consideration. So consideration, you're not saying that they're guilty or not. In your opinion, which nobles might have reason to be party to such a conspiracy? She thinks for several moments. Pardon my bluntness, your ladyship, but I will answer truthfully. It could be anyone. Greed, fear, ideals can drive even the most loyal subjects to do the unthinkable. Oh, interesting. I've examined the bodies of the assailants that were killed today. All of them were high-functioning servitors. Such servitors are only employed by families close to the Adeptus Mechanicus, isn't that so? It is impossible to read her emotions in her heavily augmented face, but her sudden turn towards her family betrays her confusion and surprise. Perplexed whispers bounce from one family member to another. Impossible! We came here by ourselves without any servitors. We know nothing about it. Your ladyship, thank you for informing us of this. You are absolutely right. My house has indeed been endowed with the high-functioning servitors, a blessing for those who revere the Omnissiah, but today, none of our house members were accompanied by them. I found this note on one of the bodies of the attackers. What are your thoughts? Her mechanical fingers grip the paper. Officially, high-functioning servitors are employed by my house and my house alone. If such units were to attack the rogue trader, suspicion would instantly fall upon the Gapricks. I assume that this is what the Wessarians intended to happen, but they did not expect that the servitors would have this letter on them. I don't even know what the letter says. Vincent, I wish to speak to you. Ready to serve, your ladyship. How may I help? What do you make of the charges against the Wessarian family? Could they truly be guilty? I don't think I can doubt the validity of the accusations, but his voice trails off and he seems to retreat into himself for a moment. Before continuing, he takes a deep breath. I am also not sure that Heist Wessarian had a reason to betray you. I don't know of any instance where their loyalty to you and the Emperor was anything less than unwavering. I know you care for Astardia Wessarian. Are you prepared to watch her die? Vincent's jaw augmetic screeches slightly. The young man scrutinizes his mother and other family members for a few moments. There's something you ought to know. Today I noticed that one of my family members to be in an odd, uncharacteristic mood. Halen Gapric is my paternal second cousin once removed. Dear goodness, trying to figure out how that actually relates to him. My paternal, so dad's side, second cousin once removed. May the Emperor save his soul. Usually reserved and self-possessed. Today he was frantic and anxious, fidgeting with a small piece of paper and seemingly looking for someone to no avail. When I last saw him, he was headed to the entrance where the altars are. Perhaps you should talk to him. I shall take my leave. Thank you all very much. So, now, let's go talk to... It's like a really good game of...
A new challenge for me.
Not, Clue. Who done did it? There. I need you. Wait, hold on. Let's just take everybody. Because sometimes, like, it bounces back dialogue-wise, and I hate that it, like, moves like that. Okay. A finely dressed man of middle years is kneeling in front of the altar, his palm folded in a prayer close to his face. The implant-free part of his skin are sickly blue color. The nobleman does not react to your presence. He does not lift his head. He does not blink. He does not even breathe. Only when you draw closer do you realize that he is dead. Abelard looks at the man, his eyes grim, the colors of House Gapric. I do not believe he decided to take his own life in such an extravagant way. As far as I know, there is a warden post here, but I do not see any wardens. The seneschal looks around. There's no one to ask about what happened here or with whom this man spoke before he died. I'd like to ask Urbend where the palace guard suddenly disappeared to. Heinrich leans towards the dead man, a familiar sight. There are poisons that rapidly damage the nervous system, causing paralytic spasms throughout the body once injected. Victim usually suffocates slowly and painfully, unable to call for help. There are no visible wounds on the body, but near the edge of the gold-trimmed collar, you notice a tiny puncture in his blue skin, likely a wound caused by a thin needle. You discover a secret pocket in the lining of the dead man's luxurious jacket. You find a folded piece of paper inside, hiding behind a handkerchief embroidered with the initials HG. You are almost certain the wardens are usually stationed nearby, but their post is empty. Where have they gone? This would be an excellent question for the governor. Well.
None shall stand in my way.
Murder, more murder, and extra murder. That is what I am hearing is happening in my palace of all places. How delightful. How delightful indeed. We are going to wait and talk to the governor with all of my questions until I get more questions to ask the governor. Okay, these are servants. Who are you? I need... Wait. No. Oh, wait. Who's up here?
I'll lay claim to the stars.
Warden aristocrats. That's my throne. Okay. As you draw closer, the warden steps aside, bowing respectfully, allowing you to approach the Wissarian family. Clementia, tired and slightly disheveled, is the first to bow her head to you in deference. Several men and women behind her follow suit. Your ladyship, the woman stammers as if lost for words. Accept my most humble apologies for failing to greet you properly, and my thanks for agreeing to speak to me before making your final decision. The charges brought by the governor are severe, but I can only assure you of this and swear on my own honor. We're not guilty of the crime House Wissarian is being accused of. Clementia, a hint of sorrow creeps into Abelard's voice, belaying his stern facade. You were acting head of this family. You were supposed to take care of each and every family member. Now you're being accused of treason and collusion against the rogue traitor. The entire family is facing death. How could you let this happen? Are you truly guilty? Be honest. I'll not tolerate lies. Clementia, if you know that a member of your family is guilty... Abelard, it is your family too, you know. The woman's words burn with defiance. My apologies. I should not lose my composure. No member of House Wissarian is involved in the conspiracy against her ladyship, and loyalty are not something we take lightly, and we know whom we serve. The governor claims you forged documents. The fleet is the primary remit of House Wissarian. It is our responsibility. Logistics and supply routes are another area of our responsibility. We have no direct influence on the inner workings of the Adeptus Administratum. The first large-scale deliveries were cancelled after quantities of food were miscalculated by the clerics in the Administratum. Then we were faced with incorrect weather data and meager fuel budget. It was clear that the cause of all these problems was a calculation performed in the Administratum in one way or another, but no matter how many times we asked, we could not ever obtain clarification. I found this letter on one of the bodies of the heretics. What can you tell me about it? She reads the letter, and the Wissarians behind her read it over her shoulder. Your ladyship, let us be frank. It'd be foolish for me to try and orchestrate something like this, knowing how many wardens are patrolling your palace. I would not have let myself or anyone in my family get involved in such a scheme. The attackers were high-functioning servitors, ones that looked closer to ordinary humans. Do you know anything about them? Servitors? Is that so? She crosses her arms and furrows her brow deep in thought. I have encountered servitors that were indistinguishable from normal augmented humans, but only once. They were accompanying several members of House Gapric. If you're not guilty, who is? Who stands to gain from framing you? Anyone, really, she replies with a bitter laugh. The other houses consider us unworthy of our position, and many would jump at the chance to get rid of us and gain control over what was our domain, the planet's fleet, and logistics at the very least. Lady Theodora chose to grant noble status to House Viserion, but the other houses, which have served in the Expanse for millennia, did not welcome the decision. It has led to some difficulties. Where should I start? I'm afraid I cannot be of much help. Talk to the representatives of the houses, eavesdrop on their retinue. Perhaps you'll hear something unusual. Okay. So, this. Okay, so these are the Gabricks. Okay, so now we'll go here.
Follow my lead.
Hello! Yeah, I'm gonna go here. Because there's just too many of them. There. Maybe? Because you have a name. Okay. Just so we can, like, see everything. Before bowing, Sarback scrutinizes you with a bitter, judgmental... Whoa! Bitter, judgmental look. Do you know who you're giving that to? I could have you dead with a blink of an eye. Head Sarback, looking like a younger copy of his father, stands at a slight distance close to his mother. An expensive yet understated dress serves to highlight the dazzling beauty that is Macarius's wife, Regina. The Sarback's patriarch eyes are trained upon Mara's eye. It seems the air itself has grown heavy. With visible effort, she turns back. Oh, I'm so happy we brought him. Look closely. Yes! Despite Sarback's attempts to suppress his revulsion, the presence of inhumans in your retinue undoubtedly reflects his fervent desire to eliminate the enemies of humanity. Do my companions distress you? Yes! His face turns red, his furious gaze trained upon you. Free-flowing rage boils in every word. The rogue trader is the chosen servant of the Emperor and one of humanity's best. By surrounding yourself with depraved Xenos who scorn the very exceptionalism of humankind, you teeter on the brink of heresy, and no privilege granted by the Emperor can blind others to that fact. The thought of existing in the same sector as Xenos is revolting, but their presence in your retinue here in the capital city of the Von Valencia's trade enrages me. To have Xenos sullying the streets of this planet after what we endured, and under the protection of the rogue trader, no less. Sarback takes a deep breath and exhales noisily. His rage subsides, but his burning gaze remains fixed on you. With a pain-distressed expression, Regina glances at her husband, her hands worrying the ruffles on her dress. Oh, man. So if we didn't bring Marzai or Irliet, then we never would have had this. And I think that this is important. This speaks to their character. Do you really believe the Wissarians are guilty? Certainly, he replies without hesitation. Governor Drivestem possesses proof of their guilt, and they have no means by which to refute it. Even if I were to entertain the idea that the Wissarians are being framed, how much longer would their house have lasted anyways? If it is so ill prepared for treachery, he addresses Abelard with a slightly mocking tone. My advice to House Wissarion would be not to appeal to the rogue trader for help, but instead simply stop, accept their fate, and not make matters worse. I cannot remember Tessera von Valencia seeking your advice on what House Wissarion should do in the situation. Pay attention. Focus on the rogue trader's question. Apart from the Wissarians, who could have a motive to conspire against me? House Drivestem wishes to expand their clout. House Gabrick, who lost their influence after Kiava Gamma incident. He looks back at his family and then turns to you again. House Sarback, whose patriarch is too direct in his communication with the rogue trader. Anyone could have reason to conspire against you. And equally, they could have none. It is not a question of motive, but of loyalty. Each of your subjects has sworn an oath of loyalty to you. So whose sincerity do you doubt? Your unveiled hatred for me is so obvious. It's grounds enough to charge you with heresy. I am hearing this from you, the Emperor's servant, who flouts all that is sacred? The person who seems to think the laws of the Imperium are meaningless? I love this so much. Now is the time when you would do well to stop and not make matters worse for yourself. The assailants sent to the palace were rare, high-functioning servitors. Did you think the Gapricks could be behind it? Sarback looks away briefly and replies with a curt laugh. I have always thought Toriana too weak to participate in such risky ventures, but it seems I was wrong about her. I discovered a dead body in my palace. A man of House Gabrick was killed while praying to the Emperor. He had a note on him. Do you know anything about it? He looks at the note without taking it from your hands and replies, no, I know nothing of this note.
I won't tolerate weakness.
No, girl, you're gonna eliminate it. Let's see if they know anything about the dead Gaprick. Greetings. We already did this. I discovered a dead body, member of your house, right here in my palace. She covers her open mouth with her hands, surprised and turning to her family. Halen, it can't be. Tell me about him. Halen is one of our lower-ranking members. Despite his advanced age, he never held high office, but he was forever striving to better his position. Even beyond his abilities, many members of my house struggled to cope with the misfortune that befell Kiavagama and our family. Some members could not reconcile themselves to our new position. Halen was one of them. What could have happened? Her visor oculars are fixed on the floor, her fingers restlessly clenching at the fabric of her dress. Toriana, the time to keep silent is long gone. The future of the Von Valencius trade dynasty and your house are both at stake. We lost Kiavagama, a truly devastating blow to every member of House Gaprick. I lost all hope for the future, and my kin lost their sense of purpose. We needed time to recover and chart a new course for ourselves. We were, and still are, more than capable of doing that, but I will not deny it. The other houses have offered us their assistance for their own self-serving ending. Perhaps Halen decided to take it upon their offers behind my back. Huh. The seneschal bowed ever so slightly and speaks quietly so that only you can hear him. Lord Captain, the Gapricks, all or perhaps only some of them, are definitely involved, but I suspect that they were not behind the plot against you. Halen Gaprick could be nothing more than a puppet in the hand of a deft puppet master. We must expose whoever that is if we're to prevent the pestilence of heresy from spreading further. What do you suggest? You already have grounds to suspect Sauerback of the conspiracy in orchestrating the attempt on your life. Governor Drivestum's decision to unjustly accuse Hysvesarian also cast doubt on his competence. Tell him that you are ready to pronounce your verdict, but before you do so, I suggest focusing on each house in your indictment speech, and I shall observe them. I have also known those people far longer than you. I know all their gestures, habits, and behavioral quirks. I'm sure that I will be able to determine which of them was responsible for the riots based on their behavior. Hold on, though. I want to go talk to Drivestum. I haven't liked this guy. If you watched the coronation and all that went with it, you know I did not like this man. You know I was not a fan. I want to talk to him and his son. Governor Drivestum is surrounded by his retinue, who are all dressed in expensive gowns and finery. The matching color scheme of their outfits and the striking physical resemblance among them suggest they all come from one family. Your ladyship, thank you for giving this case your undivided attention. He bows and the rest hasten to follow suit. I wish to hear your reasoning again. What makes you think the Wissarians are behind the plot? As soon as the logistical economic problems gave rise to the initial rumor, we tried to find the person responsible for spreading the call for Voigtvir's return. The investigation showed that some of the documents inside the Adeptus Administratum were forgeries. We can thank my son, Cornelius, for such an astute observation. Your ladyship, a slender young man bows to you awkwardly and nervously licks his dry lips. I assure you that my humble person is undeserving of your attention. Cornelius holds a prestigious position at the Administratum's palace, and it was he who discovered the errors leading to the disrupted logistics. It's also thanks to him that we found the perpetrators of the forgeries, who admitted to acting on the order of House Wissarian. What do you make of this letter? I found it on one of the assailants. The governor peers at it closely at the blood-stained paper. It looks like another piece of evidence incriminating House Wissarian. Perhaps they truly did intend to kill you, or at least cause a stir to help them escape custody. All of the assailants were high-functioning servitors, though. Such servitors are employed by families close to the Adeptus Mechanicus. High-functioning servitors, Drivestum ponders this, rubbing his chin with his thumb. Such servitors are indeed rare, and the Gapricks do have them in their service, but this could have been done intentionally with an eye to confuse you. Anyone with a desire and sufficient funds can hire them. But I thought you said the Wissarians don't have that kind of cash. Tell me more about your son, Drivestum. Thank you for your interest, but I am not worthy of it. The governor's son bows and stands still. Son, show due respect. Forgive him, your ladyship. This is the first time he's had the honor of attracting the attention of the rogue trader. Heinrich narrows his eyes and glances at you, shaking his head. Huh. Tell me more about your job, Cornelius. What do you do? I manage the documents and records related to the economy of Dargonis. You probably know how scrupulous the workers of the Adeptus Administratum are. I'm afraid that a more detailed explanation of my duties would mirror the Administratum's administrative process of the Administratum, too long and overly detailed. He tries to look you in the eye, but clearly it's hard for him to do. How did you manage to find the forged documents in the bureaucratic hell that is the Administratum? When compiling reports on the last cycle's supply chain, I noticed inaccuracies and discrepancies in the figures. With the help of other clerks, I managed to find several other documents. He stammers and swallows noisily. Comprehensive data analysis has shown that the discrepancies were caused by intentional tampering with the data, thus leading to some logistical problems that were practically unsolvable. Father and I have managed to single out the administratum clerk responsible for tampering with the data. Following a heated interrogation, they confessed that they were following orders from someone in House Wissarian. Everything was supposed to look as though they were the ones suffering losses from logistical and economic problems. But does House Wissarian have access to the Adeptus Administratum? There's no conceivable way they could do all of this in a place where they do not hold any power. Before replying, the governor's son nervously adjusts his expensive frock coat. I think the right amount of money can open any door. But you just said everything was supposed to look as though they were the ones suffering losses. So what if they were actually suffering the losses, which I believe has been mentioned? So how'd they have the money? Cornelius, what's the reason for your nervousness? The young man's pupils suddenly dilate. He stands at attention and replies into one breath. This is the first time I've spoken face to face with the rogue trader. I'm afraid of saying something wrong or forgetting something important. He is afraid. Yes, there is enough fear in this runt to feed a small squad. The governor closely watches his son. His tone changes now, sounding strict and curt. Do you wish to tell the Lord Captain anything else? We're trying it. Place your hand on your weapon. You are speaking to a rogue trader. My patience is running out. Yes. You see the flash of terror in Cornelius' eyes as he stares at your hand on your weapon. He speaks quietly and confusedly without raising his head. Forgive me, your ladyship. I can't do it anymore. Uh-huh. This lie has gone too far. I can no longer control it. The truth is that all of the logistical problems were caused by a single error in the numbers. My mistake. What? Urban looks genuinely shocked and enraged. When I discovered my mistake, it was almost impossible to restore the supply lines. Then I was approached by someone who said they were a friend. They did not give me their name, and I never saw their face. They promised to fix the problem. All I had to do was pretend that the Wissarians were responsible for the mistake. And as for the rest of the evidence, they promised to arrange it all. And Cornelius is suffocating with fear, unable to speak. Urban curls his hand into his fist, the knuckles turning white. What have you done? How could you? Your ladyship. He suddenly turns to you as if trying to shield his son. This is my fault. I trusted my son and I failed in doing so. I beg you of mercy. Abelard shakes his head. You called my family's honor to question Urban. Nevertheless, I harbor no desire to kick a man when he's down. Lord Captain, the confession you have obtained means that House Wissarian can now be cleared of all charges. What is this friend that approached you? How did the two of you communicate? By letter. I received a letter out of the blue one day. It was unsigned, but the person writing already knew about my erroneous calculations. They offered to help me cover up my misdeed, and in return, I would name the Wissarians as the ones who sabotaged the supply lines. All I had to do was gather together some documents and reports that were listed in one of the letters and keep my mouth shut. Your son has found the courage to admit his mistake. I will try to find some compassion for him in my heart. Thank you, your ladyship. And as for your position, I think you'll be reassigned to a role requiring less responsibility. I found the body of a dead body in my palace. A member of House Gaprick was killed in the palace and no one noticed, but how? There are wardens at every altar. There was no one near the deceased. Oh, the wardens had left their position. Emperor forbid, your ladyship. The governor helplessly throws his hands in the air. Your negligence is stunning, Urbent. An assassination attempt followed by a mysterious death, and yet here you are, oblivious to everything. The rogue trader can justly accuse you of allowing a noble to be killed in the palace and for failing to even notice it. It may be so, but it's for the rogue trader to accuse me of negligence, not you. The governor addresses you once more. Your ladyship, accept my deepest apologies for my impudence. Nothing matters more to me than my honor. I shall send servants to deal with all this immediately. Did you see Macarius Sar back today before I arrived? Macarius? I did not see him myself, but perhaps... Have any of you seen him today? The nobles talk quietly among themselves, and then a middle-aged woman with a tall, extravagant hairstyle replies, I think my sister and I saw him sitting on a bench some distance away from the palace's entrance. We think he was accompanied by a gentleman, but forgive us, your ladyship, we could not make out his face. Lead me to that place.